over the next hour here on Hey,
Did
have
you
you
see?
seen this one? Did you see this one? We will be talking about the early 90s. I used to think it was a horror movie, but upon a rewatch, I realized it's not. It's more of like a monster,
It's
or a monster movie.
Yeah.
As a kid, I was scared of it, but it was all. I finally watched it, and then I wasn't scared of it anymore because there's like no gore. It's not that suspenseful. I think the most suspenseful part is when the lady gets devoured in the station wagon, like near the beginning.
Yeah.
So,
Like that shot where the headlights are beaming up into the sky because it's like pulling it down.
yeah, I think that was like the most horror movie-esque moment.
Thing bust through the wall at the Gummers' residence in their basement with all the guns.
That was just a great action scene. That was awesome. I love Michael Gross in this movie. Such a dickhead, but like a lovable dickhead. This movie treads a weird ground in the almost action comedy genre.
Yeah.
I love the dynamic between Kevin Bacon and
Burt.
Yeah. Who is that? I
Burt
forgot.
Ward. Brett Ward. I think it's Burt Ward.
Yes. Fred Ward.
Fred Ward. My apologies, Fred.
Yeah. So it's a good little film. I had a good time. It's pretty highly rated on Rotten Tomatoes, and it has 6 sequels or 5 sequels or 6 of them. I think there was 5 of them up to about 2004, and then in 2018 it looks like they tried to reboot it.
There was something about Tremor Island or something like that I was reading about. I have 4 of them right here.
The first 4?
Yeah. They definitely go on a tangent.
Well, there's a lot of time between them.
Mm-hmm.
Between the first and second, there's 6 years. Between the second and third, it's 96 and 2001, so that's 5 years. And then they're like, it's the 2000s. We got Sci-Fi Channel, who can fucking turn these fuckers out. So then you have 2001 to 2003, and then they're like, nope, never mind. We don't have the budget. 2004 to 2015, Tremors 5 Bloodlines. And then as the movie goes on, as the movie titles go on, I feel like they wanted to make it more and more of a horror genre. Because it goes Aftershocks, Back to Perfection, The Legend Begins, then it's Bloodlines, A Cold Day in Hell, Shrieker Island.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I wouldn't call it horror though.
No, but wait. Have you seen the later? Like, have you watched all 4 of them?
I've seen these 4. Yeah.
Are they all pretty much in the same? They, start off kind of like, what's going on?
The monsters kind of like so in this one, like you just have the graboids. Oh, so the one of the categories I want to get started is when the movie title is said. And so it wasn't said in this movie. They refer to them as like graboids or
As graboids, yeah.
So in this one, it's just that one, or like that one stage, I guess, of them. And then in the later ones, you kind of get into like their egg or like their larval state kind of thing. Or they're not exactly like larva, but like it's just different stages that they have. I'm pretty sure the second one was kind of fun though because Earl, Fred Ward, like pissed off because they're like making like games and movies out of it and like making money off it, but he's not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like fun. in universe?
Yeah, in the universe, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
See, I was watching this movie going, like, they've tried to make several Aliens and Alien 3 video games and a million sequels, but they've never been able to make a Tremors video game, I feel like, or they've never tried. I've never seen one.
It's like pinball machines.
Just pinball machines, yeah. which is cool if you're into pinball. You know, the way pinball sort of exists in our world now is like we have pinball arcades here in Toronto. Obviously, the pandemic probably shut few of them down, but
yeah.
Before the pandemic, you could go to these places and all the games were free, and that was the gimmick. You
drink or whatever.
You bought beer, and that's how they made their money, and ordered food. There was this one place where you could order all kinds of like cool snacks, like pretty artisan level snacks, like no meals, but like an appetizer list that was like the size of a whole menu.
Yeah.
And one side of the room is all arcade machines.
Mm-hmm.
The back has like a skeet ball and like one of those things where you like punch it and see how hard you can punch. And then the other side is all pinball machines.
I've never tried one of those punching machines. I'm too self-conscious.
Whatever. You just smoke. Like they're kind of a scam anyway, because they're built to like give tickets.
Oh, nice.
But there was one at the Oasis. I remember
there was one at the Oasis. Yeah.
And I used to. It was like $1. Also. So that's too much money to pay for that. Cool. So I took less notes this time because I think we talked about last time how just running down the whole plot is kind of dry. But let's talk over the movie. And if we get lost, if we get lost in the sauce, it's unfortunate because I'm sitting there watching this movie going, it's not a movie like Rebel Without a Cause where there's a lot to talk about, a lot to like relate to modern day. It's not a movie like Be Kind, Rewind where they're going through all kinds of different movies that they're recreating. This movie is only an hour and like 35 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like a really standard 3-act situation. The first act is like, what's going on? The second act is them like trying to figure out what these things are. And the third act is just them fighting them for about 35 minutes.
Yeah. There's awesome ways to blow them up.
And awesome ways to blow them up. And last time I think it was last time or the time before I talked about my Home Alone, get to the Home Alone part.
Right.
And that's skipping over the first bit and getting to the, I want to see what this movie's about. And the Tremors part starts really early, I noticed, which was awesome. They get right to it.
What was the first? I'm trying to think. What was the first one? Was it the farmer and his sheep? I think.
Yeah, and then immediately it's the guys working on the road.
Yeah.
And that all happens in like 5 minutes or so.
And then the guys stuck up in the up in the tower.
And I had forgotten about that. They addressed that later. I was like, did he somehow get thrown up there? But then you realize later that he climbed up there because to try to get away. And that sets up this weird plot device that you'll die of dehydration in 3 days, which I don't know is like necessarily true, but they bring it up in that movie time. You know how like movies have like a timer?
Yeah.
That's sort of just like, oh, we got to get to the mulligan.
Yeah, gotcha.
Not mulligan, fucking, and not red herring. What's the word for a thing? MacGuffin.
MacGuffin.
Yeah. So I found that to be like it was very 90s. Like it had that super 90s vibe. It had that like the practical effects were awesome, but like when a tremor
practical effects, that's one thing I loved about this movie is that they were real, like you could touch them, monsters or whatever, right? Like not CGI.
Yeah, and I don't think there was any computer generated. It was 1990. Like they didn't have very good computer generated stuff. I started watching Fifth Element last night, and I know you brought up. I know we should probably do it for this show, but it's a movie I haven't actually like sat all the way through before.
Oh,
so. Dude, we've been over this. I'm not a movies guy until 2020, and I became a movies guy. But they managed to say the name of that movie in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
He goes, it's some kind of fifth element. And when they were sitting around in Tremors trying to figure out what the name of the Tremors would be, they wouldn't. What's up, Amanda?
I mean,
And also Liz, if you're still here. We're getting some good peeps in here tonight. Um, I've heard of the Graboids before because there's a band in Halifax called the Graboids who I've got friends in.
nice.
And that's how I found out that the Tremors were called Graboids because of this theme. But they said some other things and they never said Tremors. But
Yeah.
you're saying that like later in later movies that they just call them Tremors?
I'm pretty sure in the third movie, did I write it down? I might not have written that one down, but I think it's in the third movie where they finally refer to them as Tremors. But yeah, because I was watching for it. That's one of the things that I want to start. One of the categories or whatever I want to do is when they say the movie title.
That's awesome. They never they they never said. I don't even know Kevin Bacon. Okay, Aaron. They don't say it in Rebel Without a Cause. That never happened.
Yeah.
I think back in Scrooged, he might have said something like, "I'm getting Scrooged over here," but I don't 100% remember.
He did say it in Scrooge. Muppet Christmas Carol. They definitely didn't say it in that one.
No, but Be Kind Rewind is pretty it's pretty self-explanatory because they work in a movie shop.
This movie was supposed to be. Am I coming through clear?
Yeah. Yes.
The movie was supposed to be R because there were a bunch of fucks in it, and apparently they had to. So they did some like what's it called? They dubbed over like additional audio or whatever it's called, AV or whatever it's called, AD, something like that.
80, yeah.
ADR.
ADR.
Yeah, and so they dubbed over some of them. There's a spot because I was watching for it where he says, "You mother humpers."
Well, they made like a joke out of it towards the end.
Yeah.
I feel like. Was that ADR'd into it or was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot more fucks, so they brought it down to PG-13 and then ADR'd over some of them.
And I think that it was still an era when the MPIA, what's the American movie review? Here, I'm just going to look that up because what had happened is the American movie review like rating system or whatever it's called. What they ended up doing was they were like, you know what? In a 14A movie, you can get away with so much, and then like a PG movie, you can still get away with so much. So a lot of movies had to come out as G. So what they did is going forward a few years, they kind of spread that out, and they made like PG-13 and 14A and R and 18 plus and NC-17, and up until that point, there were only like 4 different ratings for movies. And this one probably has has a PG, but it's like a soft PG. Where nowadays it'd be like a PG-13.
You're allowed one fuck, but it can't be a verb or something like that.
Okay. So I did
be a verb.
I did notice that there was. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
I did notice that there was a lot of opportunities for swearing, but they only say shit.
Yeah.
And like you said, there was the ADR over stuff. But the thing that I always, in my head as a kid, you see that cover on a movie shelf, and you're going to just automatically assume it's going to be terrifying. Because next to it was probably Critters. And next to that was even the cover of like the Gremlins movies make them look fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
But this movie, like I was going to say before, the gore is very minimal. It's more like when the old man gets eaten, it's pretty like horrifying in the way that you see him like in the mouth of the Graboid.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
Kang's shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the dude from Three Ninjas as well, and possibly Gremlins. I think he's the grandpa in Three Ninjas.
Yeah.
But the thing that I noticed the most that was when they blow up the Tremors, the Graboids, they're like weirdly like got this weird pink inside them.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a little out of place Because when the humans were destroyed and a horse gets eaten and a goat gets eaten, that was like pretty realistic looking. And I'm curious to know if when they're sorry,
like more red,
like more red and more visceral looking, like they actually probably use like chicken livers and stuff to like make the gore.
Gotcha.
But I'm wondering if the director of this movie wanted to make it more of a serious horror movie. It was what?
It was the director's first time.
Okay. Because the way that there's so many sequels, it almost seems like it ended up becoming the Sharknado of the era.
Yeah. Well, the working title at the beginning was Land Shark or Land Shark. And then SNL did a skit, and then so they had to scrap that.
Yeah, because there was the land shark who comes to your door and he's like, telegram. Candygram. That's a classic sketch, and I didn't know that this movie was originally going to be called Land Shark, but it's weird because they look like giant earthworms.
They do look like giant earthworms as far as like that they're burrowing in the ground or whatever. I guess the original the different animals that they used for like kind of conceptualizing it, they had elephants, which you can kind of see in the skin, crocodile, the snout part kind of seems like that, dinosaur,
yep.
Rhino, again kind of skin, slugs of course, and then catfish. I didn't really get the catfish one, but
look at a picture of a catfish. I can see it.
Yeah. Also, originally they had kind of like a turtleneck thing going for its like head, mouth, or whatever. But all the females in the office giggled because it looked like an uncircumcised member.
An uncircumcised prangus?
A phallus, as they say professionally. Yeah,
Walter Chang, the old man, he's the grandpa in Three Ninjas, but he is not.
Tum Tum.
Yeah. We should watch the Three Ninjas, man. That movie fucking might hold up. It probably doesn't.
I haven't been in a while. I haven't been in forever, actually, since like they first came out.
I saw that shit in theaters.
Nice.
And then I owned it on VHS.
Yep.
And before I owned it on VHS, as I recall, we would rent it primarily, that movie. We would rent that movie, and that's it.
In my research, I found out that movies used to cost $100.
Yes, like they cost between $60 and $100, and they came out 6 to 8 months after the fucking thing was in theaters.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Because now, I mean, before the pandemic kind of, that's what created this, like, you can get on Disney Plus, you can buy movies for $35 and get them now and watch them now, and you own them for a short period of time. That started happening a little bit before the pandemic, a couple of years. But like 10 years ago, it still took 6 months, at least 3 months for movies to get to video or to streaming service.
I feel like that's because they want to get
pay-per-view
out of like people seeing it in theaters or something.
It could be, but it also, think about this. Think about what it probably used to take to put movies on 1 million VHSs.
Yeah.
Like, think about that setup. You needed a factory.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's funny.
That's like, video game, like
also,
up to
special features and shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't do a lot of special features on VHS back in the day, though. It wasn't until like DVD.
Actually, I might be wrong. I think there was one movie I had, or actually like a handful of movies that had like an extra, like a music video or like some little featurette before the movie or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. There was like Roger Rabbit, Who Framed Roger Rabbit had that sketch at the beginning.
Right.
With there's the beginning where that's a cartoon, but I think there was another Roger Rabbit cartoon before that.
Right.
On at least in theaters there was, because that movie messed me up.
Yeah.
I think Ninja Turtles had something on the VHS, possibly.
Ninja Turtles made a special features VHS. Like it was like a.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like like you could like an add-on kind of thing, like an extra tape to buy kind of thing.
So this is that era, man. Like, I love how you start this movie and it starts up with an old school
Western.
I think it's. No, before that, I mean like the Paramount logo or whatever film company. What is the film company? It's the one with the woman.
What? Oh, I'm going to tell you, Universal.
Yeah, Universal. So the Universal logo comes up, and you see like that old school. I watched a 1080p version, but it still has that grain to it.
I like the
What?
grain. I don't know what it is, but I like the grain of like old like 90s, late 80s movies.
Yeah, I do too. It's comforting.
Yeah, gives it like
And I watched.
texture.
Yeah, exactly. I watched a 1080p version, and it had that immediately, and everything looked crisp, but it still maintained the integrity of it being a movie from 1990. And then you see Burt Ward or Eric. What did I say his name was? Fred Ward.
Yeah.
And then you see fucking 25-year-old Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon in the house,
And
long hair.
He looks so much different then. Obviously, because it was 30 years ago. But I don't know. It's hard to. What?
He's a little smoother.
It's a little smoother. He's a little bit thinner.
Yeah.
He's a little. Did you notice in this movie he's constantly jumping over things and standing on top of things?
He acts a lot with his body.
He does a move where he jumps over the bar or like the counter. He does a thing where he like jumps over a chair to like pull the thing off the wall. And then later when they're all standing on the roof and they come in with like the tractor convoy, he's standing on top of the tractor. And I just kept thinking like, this dude is like, he should have been more of an action star. Because that's how his career sort of started out. He was in Friday the 13th.
I don't remember that.
He's in the original Friday the 13th. He gets stabbed through the bed.
Nice.
Like he gets stabbed from under the bed.
Yeah, I think I do remember that. I know him from what? Animal House, and then what was the other one? Footloose or whatever.
Footloose. Yeah. And then
and Hollow Man.
And Hollow Man was like the mid '90s.
Yeah.
And then he went away for a while, I feel like, or he just did like either independent movies or maybe like, I don't know. I'm actually gonna pull up Kevin Bacon because I'm interested to see what he did in the dark periods of his career.
Pull up Kevin Bacon, and while you do that, I'll tell our viewers some interesting facts. For example, the screenwriter got the idea for the movie when he was doing a tour or something with the military, and he just so happened to be standing on the top of the desert. And he said, oh man, what if I was stuck on this rock? What if something was chasing me? So that's where the idea came from. Let's see. We talked about that. So one interesting thing I found out during or I think it was like shortly after the filming of the movie, I guess Kevin Bacon was like having a hard time sleeping or something like that. And I guess he was sleepwalking and carried his wife out of the house saying, I have to get you out of here. I have to get you out of here.
And then what happened? I like that. Yeah, cheers to that. I like that the movie was come up with because a guy was standing on a rock.
Right?
Oh, that's what I wanted to bring up. Forget that Netflix show, The Ground is Lava. Forget that.
Man, that's a pretty good show.
Was the game The Ground is Lava, did it somewhat have to do with this movie? I don't know if kids played it in the 80s, but I remember playing the... What?
So, Blind Man's Tag, like Gravelers or Grounders, or everyone calls it something different?
No, The Ground is Lava.
Oh, specifically that game.
Yeah, because in this movie, they do it throughout the whole thing. They're constantly not able to step on the ground.
Right.
And I remember when I was a kid, we used to play that a lot because, you're a small kid. You can use a whole living room as a jungle gym.
Exactly.
And it I really felt like maybe this created a whole kids playing the ground as Tremors. Because literally every other scene, they're like, "Oh shit, Tremors are coming! Get up off the ground!"
Yeah, the solution is climb something basically.
Yeah,
The effect for the tunneling, like under the ground effect, they were pulling a buoy.
that was a cool effect too.
Yeah, I like I said,
Especially,
practical effects. We need more of that in movies these days. Enough with. I mean, I get it. Some things you have to CGI, but give me some more realness.
that's true. But some things you don't even have to CGI. You can do like a miniature or like like Chris Nolan uses a lot of miniatures for his movies.
Chris,
Um,
what like what?
I'm pretty sure that all of the ship stuff in that war movie is
Dunkirk?
all miniatures. Dunkirk, yeah.
Was the Batmobile? Wasn't there a real life Batmobile?
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty sure in the
Land
Dark Knight when the 18-wheeler flips, that's real.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that one's
But
real.
I think there's a lot of aerial scenes that are miniatures.
Okay.
Um,
His
uh, what?
Mike had an interesting comment to
Is
make.
Dong? Thanks, Mike. Welcome to the show. So I'm looking at Kevin Bacon's IMDb, and he has put a movie out every single year, if not several,
He's put out a
for
movie here.
every single year since 1980. Okay, well, I mean, he was in a TV series in 1951, probably as a baby,
Yeah.
but 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92. Okay, he didn't work from 90 between 92 and 94. He looks like he took a break. But then 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002.
I watched Hollow Man the other day, and when he's changing from you can see him to you can't see him, you can see his like meaty penis.
I remember that. I remember when that. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember when that movie came out. It was a big deal that you could see his fleshy penis
Yeah.
in that film. I need to go back and watch that for research purposes. For heterosexual research purposes, Happy Pride Month. Yeah. So the only year he didn't work was like 93.
93. Oh, right. 90, yeah.
And Liz is saying here
I feel
that
like
his daughter was born in 92. So that's probably why he took a break.
that's a good point.
We got movie buffs in here tonight.
What's happening tonight? Where's he at tonight?
We got movie buffs in here.
Oh snap! Oh snap! Oh snap! Oh snap! So
Snappity
Chuck
Snoop.
Norris and Linda Hamilton were considered for Burt and Heather Gummer.
But instead they got Reba McEntire and Michael Gross.
Exactly. And
It's like one step down.
that was a great move. They look so much better. And then
Yeah.
this Reba McEntire's like first like acting role or whatever. And this was one of the most rented movies in 1990.
Yeah, I could see that. We definitely rented it several times, and I hated horror movies when I was, 5 or 6 years old. Couldn't deal with them. And I had two friends, Chris and Jason. I'd go to their place. They were allowed to rent whatever the fuck they wanted, and it was a free for all. We used to watch the Terminator, just the kids, like the parents weren't even in the room. We used to watch Terminator 1 and 2, Guyver, Tremors, just whatever we wanted.
I remember me and my buddy Scott rented Cell or The Cell, the one with Jennifer Lopez or whatever, and they go inside the guy's head or some shit. And we went like it was like a sleepover at his place, and his mom read the back of it, and it said like scenes containing this, and this. One of them was like like masturbation or some shit like that, and she like flipped out at us.
Well, I believe it. Like, it's a good thing they put that on the case because, as I recall, the Cell is fucked, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure it's like a cool fucked.
Yeah.
Watch
But
it
like,
now, not as a kid. Not as a kid. Definitely wasn't like the movie to watch at that time, but like to watch it now, I'm pretty sure it'd be like interesting.
I think that's something we should talk about off camera about doing because I've never seen The Cell.
Ooh,
Ooh.
I need better light.
Get yourself a ring light or move your is that a lamp or a ceiling light to
I
your
have
on
to
your
you entertain the folks while I come back.
sure. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Blossom Buddies during the middle of hey, have you seen this one? This week on the show, okay, we already lost a viewer. This week on the show, Tony relapses and he's on heroin. And Blossom is trying to study for her SATs, but Joey is now playing for the MLB, and he
Whoa!
takes a baseball directly to the nose, and his nose explodes. And then Six nurses him back to health, and they get married, and do a 69 right on top of the Empire State Building. And then Vinny comes back. Spoilers: Vinny's not on the show anymore. And so Tony's addicted to heroin, and Vinny gets in on it, and they do heroin together. And then I don't know if you've ever read the book Naked Lunch, but like all of the stuff that happens in Naked Lunch is about Vinny and Tony on a heroin binge.
A little better.
What? this, this isn't. This is basically me doing a Blossom version of the Aristocrats.
And then
they fucked.
I need that shit that they use in showbiz that makes you less shiny.
Like foundation or whatever. I know that's better lighting. That's a better lighting setup. I have like these dope lights here, so I usually have a good. You can see what's going on. You look a little bit more photogenic than I do.
Oh, get out of here!
I will not. We're trying to do a show. We've got about 20 minutes.
It's bullshit. I did not.
I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi.
Did you finally watch that?
Oh, The Room. I haven't watched The Room yet. That could also be one to add to the list.
No, we talked about that. I don't want to watch it again.
Okay, fine.
I don't want to watch the goddamn. I will not. I don't want to watch the goddamn Room again because it took me 6 sittings to get through it once. Because
I feel like it would be a hard thing to do. Like, I feel like the only way to have like a full sitting is if it was an actual like midnight movie and you're out with some friends and you have some drinkies.
Or if you go see it with like Tommy Wiseau in the crowd as like an event, and then because now it kind of has become like the Rocky Horror Picture Show where there's like stuff you're supposed to do during it.
Yeah, like throw forks or something.
Yeah, so I would go see it in that context, but I feel like if I were to sit down and watch it again and try to like take notes, I would have to be like, nah, let's not do this.
Fair. I'll watch it on my own time.
Liz makes a good point here. The Disaster Artist is a great movie, but unfortunately, James Franco was canceled as shit. So maybe we avoid doing James Franco content for a minute. That said, I haven't seen 127 Hours.
That was
which
a decent movie considering it's just right there. Like there's a little bit before he gets stuck, but then it's mostly just him stuck. Oh, actually, there's a really good movie. What's his name? Tom Hardy or whatever. I think it's called Locke, and he's in a car the whole time, but he's like having conversations with like different people in his life, and that's a pretty dope movie.
I would watch Locke. That sounds good. Have you seen Bronson?
I did just recently see it. That was wild.
I loved that movie, and I want to go back and rewatch it because I haven't seen it since it came out like fucking 10 years ago.
Well, you're gonna have a fucking ride because it's wild.
Now that we've covered our mid-episode tangent, let's bring her home and finish out the movie. So I like this format that we did this time. I didn't just run down a list of what happened in the movie. We kind of jumped around. I think I brought up most of the things I wanted to talk about, though. I really thought, okay, so
not all. Do you got something else there?
There's like the stuff with Rhonda is kind of like weird and like sexist.
What,
I thought Well, first, there's like they catch wind that there's a woman out in the desert,
Yeah,
and
but that part came on, I'm like, ooh, that is like, cringe, misogyny, or whatever kind of thing.
then they get there, and Kevin Bacon's going, I hope she's got blonde hair and huge eyes and big boobs and bomb legs or whatever,
And ask for days, or
and
whatever.
ask for days. And they get there, and she's like kind of homely, and she's kind of like she's got like
Got
the stuff on her nose for when you're out in the hot, and she's
yeah,
dressed like because she's a scientist,
yeah.
and she's not trying to like be hot in the desert, which is all like I get that. But by the end of it, first of all, they don't telegraph the like love story at all. He just kisses her at the end because they,
No,
it's
that wasn't supposed to happen. So that ending was added because they did like a viewing or whatever, right? Like a preview viewing or whatever, audience test screening, and like the audience was pissed off, like, hey, I thought they were kind of getting all ooh la la. The original ending was Bert or no Earl and Val driving to Bixby, and they're like, oh shit, I forgot my lighter. Oh, Rhonda has it. Oh, that was a nice lighter. And then he gives like little smile, like, and then they go back kind of thing. And then that it ends at that part, like assuming that they hook up or whatever. But the audience wasn't happy with that. They wanted to see them hook up. So
okay.
so they added that scene.
Yeah, and that tracks because every '90s movie had that tacked on love story.
It was the same
Any
kind of formula or whatever, which I fucking hate sometimes. Like, you don't need to have a fucking like love fest every time.
Well, before the MCU movies, the first round of superhero movies all had that was kind of the selling point to get couples in to see them to like boost numbers.
Yeah.
Every superhero movie has like a pretty like way thicker than this love story that all three acts sort of go back to. In X-Men you have the stuff with Rogue and Miss fucking him. You never remember Iceman?
Iceman, but well, yeah, Iceman, yeah.
And Spider-Man, obviously
No,
Mary Jane, and
Wolverine, yeah, and then Cyclops.
yeah, oh yeah, the love triangle. That's what people want, I guess, or that's what Hollywood thinks people want. In the MCU, is there any love story in any of the MCU movies? Really?
Captain America. Well, that's the Illuminati.
And Peggy Carter, I guess.
That'd be the left side.
Oh,
What's her face? Fucking Pepper and Iron Man.
I guess, but they're like
and Black Widow.
Okay, you're making me look bad. You're like every single movie, but also Hulk and Liv Tyler in the first Hulk movie, and okay, fair enough. So I guess Spider-Man and MJ.
Can you think of that don't have a love interest?
Black Panther.
I mean, he loved his dad.
Yeah, but it wasn't like romantic love.
Okay.
Okay.
No.
The first Ant-Man.
Actually, might be right. That might be a correct answer.
The first Ant-Man, he doesn't have a love interest because he doesn't meet Evangeline Lilly till the second one.
Yeah, but isn't he trying to like get back with his ex or something?
No, I think that he just goes to see the daughter. I don't think he's trying to get back with her.
Okay.
Anyway, my point is they show her as super frumpy and homely, and then as soon as she has to take her pants off because the graboids are trying to pull her underground.
The cage wire or whatever.
Yeah, when she's caught up and she's getting pulled and she takes her pants off, yeah. They're fixing the wounds on her legs and I think his name's Eric and Duke or whatever the fuck these boys' names are. What are the boys' names in the main two characters, who are great, by the way?
You talking about the kid?
No. Valentine and Earl. The main character. Yeah. So they look at each other like, oh, well, I guess she was because of her legs being out. Even though they're all cut to shit. It's like, yeah, look at those legs. I guess she's not as homely as we thought after all.
Turns out she is a girl.
Yes. And then I feel like from that point on, they started to make her a little bit more a little bit more like she could be a viable mate for one of them. But they still didn't talk about it too much, which is why when they kissed at the very end, I was like, you didn't like the ending you were saying makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Hint at it.
Yeah. I liked that idea a lot better, for sure. But they did, like, there were subtle hints throughout, right? Like, so, like, because at the beginning, he's like, because he's the one wanting there to be a hot chick, or what, like, he's the one, you know, kind of wanting to meet a girl, where Earl's just like there or whatever, right? You know, it was like, oh yeah, all these women, because he's got that little visor of all his pictures of women or whatever, right? And so, like, they're kind of setting up that whoever this person's going to be in him, Val, or there's going to be a love interest, but then she doesn't meet his, like, you know, checklist. And then, so like when they're, so in the market, when the thing shoots up through the floor, and then she hops on one of the shelves, they hop over to the ice machine to get to the roof, and then she hops from shelf to shelf to kind of get over, and then it knocks it over. He falls through the window, and he's concerned for her. He shoots up to the roof right away and hops over to the ledge to find her. He's like telling her to keep moving, and like wants to like try and reach and save her or whatever, but she's not there. She saved herself. She's over on the water tower.
That's fair, but like they also, if she would have gotten killed there, they, you know, they had a really solemn reaction to when that dude died just shortly after that, when he got sucked through the tire.
Yeah.
They have a minute where it shows all their faces, and they're way sadder than when the shopkeeper died. That just happens and they move on.
Yeah.
He gets eaten. The thing comes up to the floor and eats him while they're all like trying to fight it. And he's gone, and they don't even mention him again. But when that other dude, I think he's the kid's dad, isn't he?
That's questionable. I don't
That's
know.
the vibe I got.
I'm pretty sure there's the mom and the girl with her pogo stick. And
the pogo stick girl is from Jurassic Park.
Yeah, Jurassic Park, exactly. Yeah, I'm not too. There was a guy that I had no idea what his relationship was to anyone, and then there was that kid who kept pissing them off, and like did the whole boy who cried wolf thing.
Yeah, several times.
Yeah.
He survived though.
Wolf.
Could they like not kill kids in the 90s or something? Because I feel like if this movie was made today as a sci-fi show or movie, the kids would be like evil game.
Yeah. I think
like that kid was asking for it.
He definitely would be if it was remade today.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that shenanigan though, of the kid who cried wolf. What was kind of confusing to me is I don't know if there was something I missed, but why did the shopkeeper want the graboid, the mini graboid that got pulled off at the beginning? He's like, I'll give you $10 for it.
Remember, he set it up to take pictures with the graboid for he bought it. What did he say? I think he first said, "Yo, I'll buy it off you for $5," and they're like 20. He's like, "Okay, 10, like 15." It's like, "Fine, 15," and they're like, "Yes, like what a deal, right?" But then does this all happen in a day, or is this a few?
This all happens in an afternoon, yeah.
Yeah, in a day, right? So next thing you know, he's setting up the graboid tremor thing, snake tongue, as like $3 a picture, and then it pans over to Earl and Val, and like, oh fuck.
Yeah, we could have done that, but then the one that runs into the wall, into the irrigation wall, and they're like, let's get this out here. Let's get a winch. How many pounds do you think this thing is? We're gonna sell this to him for way more than $15.
Yeah.
And that's after that too. Actually, I don't think it happened in one day. I think it happened at the end of one day, and then a full day. Yeah, but I think the first part of the movie was like, it was like evening, and then the nighttime, because there's that scene with the old couple that were going to look at their place, and then the car gets sucked into the ground, and then the next day all the shenanigans happen. And really, at the end of the day, it's got the same kind of like movie trajectory, movie plot progression as a zombie movie. Felt like a zombie movie because they're stuck in a place and they have to escape. But if they go outside the place, they're fucked. But if they can get to a second place, which is the mountains, problem solved.
Yeah.
And of course, they almost get to the place, and they have one last ditch before they can get over the fence, or the helicopter coming in Dawn of the Dead, or whatever. So I thought that Tremors was really interesting in that it was like this could be a zombie movie if they wanted to make it a zombie movie.
Yeah.
And really not really change that much.
Same kind of blueprint.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you have a favorite scene?
My favorite scene is hands down when they're the gun nut couple are in their basement, and you haven't seen it yet. They're shooting at the thing, and they're like, "Oh, I'm out," and it pans over to a wall of guns.
Yeah,
with every kind of gun. I was like, "That's awesome!" And I remember key scenes from when I was a kid. I remember where the shopkeeper gets eaten very vividly. I remember that sequence very vividly, and I didn't remember, weirdly enough, how they got out of it.
Right.
I didn't remember that once they got to the mountain, they were fine, even though they end up killing all of them anyway.
The gun scene was like the shootout at the Gummers was probably my favorite scene as well. I remember, I don't know why I always remember it, but I always remember them jumping from rock to rock with the poles or whatever.
Yeah, the pole vault part was good too.
And then fishing for them with the TNT or whatever, the makeshift like homemade TNT or whatever it was.
Yeah. The pole vaulting scene, what was going through my head when I was watching that, I was like, a team of writers and a director sat down and wrote one of the best unnecessary scenes in a movie I think I've ever seen. Like they didn't need to. It didn't need to be like it was like 5 or 7 minutes long to like set this all up to get them stuck on the rocks, and then the woman Rhonda's like, we can just fucking use these poles here to pole vault, which makes no sense because
like,
the Tremors would still be able to like
blah blah blah, and she's like, screw this, and then boop.
Yeah. I just like a lot. This movie has a lot of stuff that like isn't necessary, but it's not so unnecessary that it just pads the movie out. It's
like foundation or whatever, like building blocks.
The thing that made no sense to me is like I do get that they wanted to create this thing where the Tremors were learning every time something new happened, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
But my first thought, since I didn't remember a lot about this movie, my first thought when the whole house starts to rumble, was that there was going to be like a final boss battle with a giant tremor.
Yeah.
But really, it just seemed like the tremor was like going around the foundation, like underground or something. But I couldn't wrap my head around the logistics of what that looked like.
Like from what point of view?
From the Tremors' point of view.
Mm-hmm.
It was a cool looking scene. Like it was probably a very expensive set piece to do.
Well, it has like it knows that this is the spot. Well, I guess it doesn't know, like you don't know what's above really, but like you know that they're at this spot and there's no direct ground things off of it. So as soon as they come down, maybe.
Yeah. So where do you think you've seen this movie several times now, I assume. You've probably thought about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Where do you think these graboids came from?
Ooh.
And I'll just say the only real definitive all I can really glean from what they give you is that it's the desert, so there's probably nuclear testing nearby. And they smell horrible, and they smell worse dead.
Yeah.
I think, and try to hear me out.
Okay.
Radiation hit some sort of like waste plant and created these like snake waste hybrid mutant snake shit monsters.
You think they're mutant snake monsters? Okay.
Yeah.
the reality to that question, or whatever, is like that was something that they had, like the writer.
I was just about to say you've seen at least 3 more of the movies, so they probably touch on that a little bit.
Well, so they talked about it, like they asked themselves that exact question for this movie, and they're like, they narrowed it down to a few things. Either it's a prehistoric thing, or it's a mutated thing,
Or aliens.
or it's an alien thing. Was basically what they narrowed it down to. But then they're like, well, why bother lifting the curtain at all? Just leave the shroud of mystery and don't even answer it, like, period. They do answer it in one of the later movies, and I'm pretty sure the actual answer, like in that universe or whatever, is prehistoric.
Prehistoric, okay.
Yeah. I think like a mutation kind of like how long can a prehistoric thing be dormant for, right? Like for something to, like, I would say I'm with you with like mutation.
I mean, quite a while though. Things they sometimes find missing link fish that have been just swimming down there and existing for a millennia.
Yeah, but
you know,
those fish that don't try to eat you. If something's trying to eat people, like it'd be like, doing that the whole time, right?
that's true. That's true. Unless it was in like some sort of larval state. To answer Mike's question there, I just looked it up. There was a Tremors TV show in the early 2000s.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a funny idea. Do you think we can turn this into a Muppet movie?
How though? Okay, so
I got this idea because we had a fun time with it that one time, and I was like, ooh, that's kind of fun to try and make the Muppets into whatever it is that we're watching.
so the Tremors are Muppets? No.
No. The Muppets.
The Tremors can't be Muppets.
Muppet, basically, it's its own Muppet. We have to take the Muppet and put them into the characters. So like Val and Earl, like Fozzie.
Oh yes, I remember how we did it now. Yes. So Kevin Bacon would have to be like Kermit, right?
Kermit and Fozzie for Earl. Maybe.
Yeah, I could see Earl as Fozzie, and then Miss Piggy would be Rhonda, obviously, and then Michael Gross and Reba McEntire could be like maybe 2 members of the band, but they're not like as intense.
What about the 2 old men? What about the 2 old cranky guys?
Statler and Waldorf are the Gummers.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And then you just fill the rest of the cast out with like.
I'm still here.
So list of Muppets. I need to figure out who, because like I want to put the dog guy as Miguel.
As who?
Miguel. The older balding guy. I think he's like Mexican, maybe.
I think my thing's dying. One second.
Oh no, we're losing a co-host while we're trying to come up with a Muppet.
Am I still here?
We can still hear you. I can still hear you.
Like this. I'm all close.
Okay.
We got most of them though. So we got Val and Earl and Rhonda. We got the Gummers. What are you doing, phone? Who's the shopkeeper?
Rizzo.
Oh, I'm down with that.
Almost definitely Rizzo, but how do we get Gonzo in there? I think Miguel would have to be Gonzo because the dog is like not as. He's more of a supporting character or minor character.
Fair.
I can't remember the dog's name. But then you could have you could have more to it because you'd have to have like the scientist and Beaker.
Beaker and yeah.
And the Swedish Chef would have to show up for some reason.
Have all of them, but I guess we could make it happen.
But the main cast. Okay, so according to Wikipedia, the main cast is Kermit, Piggy, Fozzie, Gonzo, Rolf the dog. Actually, he is a main character.
Nice.
Scooter Animal, Pepe the King Prawn. But he's not. I wouldn't say he's the main characters like traditionally. He's more of a newer main character.
1 second. 1 second.
And then there's I'm back, baby. And then there's Rizzo and Walter, who I'm not 100% sure who Walter is. Oh, Walter's the dude from the Muppets Most Wanted.
I might be using more power than's being charged.
Oh no. Okay.
Foreshadowing is all.
Okay. How long do you have? Because we're about done anyway.
No. Let's keep going. I'm just saying, like, it's plugged in, but for some reason I feel like I might be using more power than the power is coming in.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Let's keep going.
Okay, so there's Mindy, who's played by Ariana Roberts from Jurassic Park, and her mom, I think her parents are the doctor and the doctor's wife. Oh no, Jim, the doctor and the doctor's wife are the two that die. So they could be like Scooter and like another supporting character. They could actually, the scientists and Beaker would make sense.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah.
I do want to put Miguel back in as Ralph the dog though, because I just like.
Why don't we just make Rizzo and Gonzo both the shopkeeper?
But yeah. So Gonzo's the shopkeeper.
Yeah.
And Rizzo's on his shoulder, just like in the Muppets Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
What about the kid? The kid could be Scooter. The boy who cries wolf character.
Probably. I'm just trying to think if there's anyone else I could see. Yeah, I'll take that. I'm down with that.
And then there's Nestor, is the guy who gets sucked through the tire.
What about the Eagle guy?
Okay, sure. Because I could see those being really similar.
Yeah.
And then old Fred, who's the guy up at the beginning.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any lines. Yeah. Fuck it, it's Animal.
I was just gonna say, give me Animal, just cause.
But the reason why I say it's Animal is because it would be a nod to the viewer. Because usually Animal's like blah, 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 like constantly yelling. But since he's not saying anything, they could do some joke where it's flipped on its head.
I like that a lot.
And then the two guys working on the road could be two tertiary characters.
Yeah.
Fuck, maybe there's Camilla.
They're the two old guys.
No, I like the Statler and Waldorf being the action characters, just because that would be weird. We could do something like Camilla the chicken and the bear characters.
Yeah.
There's the big bear, and then there's the chicken, and I'm pretty sure Gonzo's trying to bang that chicken. I think that's a thing. And we've pretty much managed to put. Dr. Bunsen Honeydew is his name, is the scientist's name. That's funny.
I like it.
So yeah, that brings us to the end of this week's episode, or this month, or whatever. Hey!
Did you see this one?
Did you see this one? Just to put a final little period on it, what do you rate it?
So, I enjoyed the movie. I could watch it pretty much any time or whatever, right? Like, it's one of the, like, it doesn't lose any of its like wonder or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, it holds up well for the most part. As far as just rating it against all other movies, I'll give it a nice 3.3.
3.3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, but on the inverse, I see how some things don't hold up. It's a little bit like, it feels a little bit slow at parts. They could have zhuzhed it up a bit, They could have punched up the dialogue a bit, but you got to remember it's 1990, so they wanted to put out a fun little action movie with like 3 set pieces, small cast.
I think there's only 2 set pieces. There was the basement and the shop, and then everything was out exterior.
Yeah, yeah. I give it a 3. I think that's a low 3 though. I think I could meet you at 3.3.
Ooh, I'll take it.
Yeah. So yeah, this has been. Hey, did you see this one for this week? Who knows what we'll be back with next time? But it'll be soon, and it'll be good. And I learned something today. We did it on a Monday night instead of a Friday night, and I think people might be more apt to just click on a live on a Monday night versus a Friday night, where at this time of night on a Friday people are probably doing stuff. So
they're getting drunk, having fun.
Yeah. So sorry, Ryan Burke, 1987. We're calling it quits for the night here. But for Kaylin, I'm Jason.
And Jason, I'm Kaylin.
No, almost, just so close.
Okay, let's go again.
Okay, for Kaylin, I'm Jason.
And for Jason, I'm Kellen.
Perfect. Have a good night, guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace.